Hello, Swivelheads. This is Greg Allison of Green Greg. It's coming to you on 3 November 21. Time on deck is 17:34 hours Central Daylight Time. Now, we're going to talk about the 7 key essentials to prepping. We're going to have a discussion about these. We're going to go through them. And many of you are expert preppers. Maybe you'd just like to see if you're missing a tip, or maybe recogitate some of these things in your mind, because then we're going to actually talk about the most important one. And we're going to cover some things that maybe you didn't think about, maybe I forgot. So we're going to talk about that. And guys, don't be the toilet paper preppers, the cornholio, great cornholio preppers, guys. That is one of the key things here that we're trying to avoid, is getting ahead of them. Because as you know, if you wait the last minute to prep, you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to find things, because I'm assuming that most of you are not in that category. But you do need to talk to your friends and family and try to convince them to get ready, because the more of them that are in that category, the more they're going to come after you and what you got. So the more people are prepped, the better off we all are. And so that's why it's important to try to raise the water level for everybody around you, because when the water level is low, the boat hits the rocks, right? So I bring you this as part of my Eyes Wide Open and Head on a Swivel series. And that's why I call my followers here swivel heads, because you are swiveling your head and with your eyes open to know what's coming at you. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all, because I'm going to bring you more and more of this good stuff about what to do and how to do it. I got plenty of videos on this in the past, so we'll go into that. But I'm going to get more straight into it here. We're going to go into it. What's the first thing? The 7 key essentials. So again, great cornholio preppers. That's what you don't want to be. The guys who are running the last minute to get the toilet paper. They are the ones that's going to cause you problems down the road, because they're going to be the ones that's hungry when they figure out they ain't got nothing to wipe because they ain't got nothing to eat. Oh yeah, and by the way, here's a bonus question I'm going to expect from you guys, and maybe in my next live session, which will probably be tonight if I can post this thing beforehand. That is the following: what exactly is a bunghole? It's not dirty, okay? It's not at all dirty. If you're thinking dirty, you're wrong. All right, that's it. I pose a quiz sometimes. All right, there's your quiz. I might pose another thing. Let's see. All right, so let's get into this. You want to know the 7 key things. So the first one is shelter. Why shelter? It's because you can only survive very limited time without shelter if exposed to the elements. Now, really, the thing you survive least with is air. I'm consuming the air as a given, but you got air. If you don't, you better have some breathing masks for that, okay? If you want to be in an environment where that's challenged. All that said, shelter. Most of you have that covered. You got your home. This is your, a home is a valid initial bug out location. Maybe it's your permanent bug out location. Although for some of you, it's a precarious one. What's a great thing about having your shelter in your home is that you have all your medicines, your preps, all the stuff you can't carry, so many tools, just tons of stuff that you can keep in your home. You can keep a watch on that you're right there, and that's convenient. It's not convenient to bug out, and you lose a lot of stuff when you bug out. I mean, you got your clothes, you got your way of life, what you're accustomed to. If you can bug out in your home, you're way ahead of the curve. Now, maybe you need another bug out location. That becomes your home, if possible. Your bug out location and your home being synonymous are very important, but it may not work out. You may find yourself having to be deposed from your home, even if you're in the best of the bug out locations. You may find yourself out of maneuvers. You may find yourself having to go out in the woods to survive, thrive, as the other hive, out in the forest, the wilderness, the desert. In that case, you need to start sharpening bushcraft skills. You need to camp out, go outside. You start out with tents, but you better learn how to make your own shelters. Tents don't last long, and who knows, you might not be able to carry it, and you might find yourself somewhere in the middle of nowhere when it hits the fan and the mushroom clouds are going up and you can't get home. In that case, or you may be on travel. You might just need to be able to head straight out into whatever kind of wilderness is around you. And God hope you're not in Alaska, because if you are, you're going to be in for a rough time. I lived in Alaska 2 years. If you're from down here and you're up there and you're caught out, there's a lot of rough places to be caught out at. So shelter. Know how to make shelter if you're not in your home. Bug out locations. If you're going to bug out to another location, make sure you can get to that shelter fast. And you better have some little caches along the way in case you find yourself walking, you run out of gas or whatever. You better have some backup plans to get there. And if you don't get there fast, expect the roads to be choked off. Expect there to be basically little warlords or community groups or whatever. It's going to set up checkpoints, maybe even the law enforcement. You might find travel restrictions. We may have travel restrictions coming in as just because of some bug going around. Yeah, we don't know how far this stuff's going to go. Imagine if we had something like a contagious airborne Ebola, like it existed in Reston. There's actually one version, it's called Reston Ebola. There's a 50% case fatality rate. That would be very ugly. And then, you know, the powers that be, given, you know, the level of panic or what we've seen, something like that, or a highly human contagious bird flu. That's about the same case fatality rate, about 50%. And there's other stuff out there that they've become very virulent. Oh yeah, 2 laboratories just had to create a human transmissible bird flu. One in Indonesia and one in the Netherlands. Now, what if that just happens to get out one day? Or somebody else decides, oh yeah, we need to replicate this just to see how to handle it. You know, wink, wink, wink. And it just gets loose by accident, entirely possibly. You know, Sir Martin Rees wrote this book, Our Final Hour. That is Sir Sir Martin Rees, Astronomer Royal of Great Britain. And he thought we only had a 50-50 chance of surviving the next 100 years due to a number of possible different eras. I think he's optimistic, but he on the time frame. I think these next 20 years, 10 years, maybe are most important, the next 10 years. He believed that that one of the biggest risks that we faced was either bio-era or bioterror. And I think maybe you can start figuring out why now. You know, there's little labs all over the world where they can do stuff all over the world, even in little poor countries that are underdeveloped. You have biolabs everywhere. All right. That said, you know, things could get shut down. It could get bad. It could get ugly. So your shelter also needs to, you need to consider having a HEPA air filtration system if you can. But that also means you need to have some kind of power to run it. It may be hand bellows, you know, that you're pumping the air through. That's actually a valid way to do it. If you don't have electricity, big bellows, make you some really big bellows. Suck air from the outside and run it through a HEPA filter or something like that. Yeah, it's not easy, but you could do it. It could be done. You know, duct tape, cardboard, and some, you know, maybe a little bit of sheets of plywood. You can do a lot of stuff. All right. But you need something, maybe plastic or something for the bellows part. Leather is what they used to use. Okay. What else do you need to think about for shelter? A lot of you are going to bug out at somebody else's place. Make sure you really, really, really get along with them and you have an understanding with them what you're going to do and understand what they're going to do when you get there. And don't expect to go along and freeload that they're going to do all the dishes and everything else. That's their house, and you know, they're the host. No. That's very impolite. You got to jump in there and be part of it and work it. So that's it. So what are you looking at? You're looking at your home, alternate bug out location, bug out to a friend or family member or somebody like that, or you know, your local mag group tribe, or you might be on maneuvers. Like I said, you better start learning some bushcrafting. I'll probably do some bushcrafting videos in the not too distant future. I really like to do that, you know, building shelters and all that kind of fun stuff. Now, the next important thing is water. I have covered that topic very well in a video. I'm going to show you this. Let's do a share. Because if you've not seen this video, you really need to watch it. Here's my channel. When you first come into it, you'll find several playlists. And what you do is you scroll on down here and find the one about survival prepping with green Gregs. And right over here, this third video is filter and sanitize water using natural and manufactured methods. Basically, I show many methods to purify and sanitize water. And hey, Dave Hodges, those are two different things. A lot of people get them confused. Purifying is not sanitizing. And even filtered water can have viral particles in it. Even with the best ceramic water filters, viruses can get through. So do check this video out here. This is, yeah, it's a 23-minute video, but it goes in many details and covers many different water filtration systems. I talk about use of chlorine. I talk about fire, charcoal, I show you how to make, here I am holding a water bottle, showing you how to make a filtration system with a water bottle. So I talk about the ceramic filters, like mine is Pure. Most of you heard of Berkeley. So yeah, I cover a wide waterfront of water.
Quite a few. You don't want to get viruses from.
See, you don't want to get viruses.
Your water.
There you go. That's me out in my woods, and I'm showing. See, I got many different water filters there. And I talk about the merits of different ones. I'm showing different techniques here. Guys, you need to check this video out. And it's easy to find on my channel. All right, enough of that. Stop that share. So I'm not going to go all into water, except to say that a lot of food you just can't carry. You cannot carry all the water you need on a day-to-day basis with you. There's just no way if you're out maneuvering. If you're bugged in the home and the city municipal water supply gets shut down and you don't have a well, guess what? You're going to have to be going out and finding, even if you got municipal water flow, it may be contaminated. That may be a part of what's going on. You know, sometimes terrorist groups will target municipal water supplies. That's what we believe may happen. So water, you can expect it to be contaminated. Save up all the water you can initially. I mean, run your tubs full, the jugs full, you got a sleeve of solo cups, take them out and fill them all. Everything you fill up with water in your house, fill up. Of course, everybody's heard that. That's not new news. Fill up all the water you can so it'll last as long as you can. And you got to remember, though, if some of that stuff setting out, stuff in a bathtub, it's not going to be the cleanest water in the world, but you can use it for washing and stuff. But you can also filter it for drinking with a good enough water filter and means of sanitizing. Two things. You can drink the scummiest pond water. And some people will do that even without sanitizing it with filters, but they are taking chances. They are taking chances, and chances taken is Russian roulette. You want to avoid that when there's no hospitals and doctors to go to. Okay, so water, you can only survive 3 days without water, and that's regular weather. If you're out in the desert, maybe far less. You may not survive 3 hours without water. If it's really hot and you're sweating, you can get heat stroke. Boom, you're out. You're out. Especially if you got nobody to help you, get you in the shade and cool you off and look after you. You're over. That's done. You don't want heat stroke. You don't want heat exhaustion. I've been there a couple times. Okay. Of course, now the next thing, the third, I make this my third thing, because if you don't have shelter and you don't have water, you're not going to last long, no matter what's going on. But you need some means to defend yourself in the bad times. You need some way to keep the booger man from eating you. It may be some critter you got to defend yourself against. Like if you live in Alaska, there's plenty of critters up there that can definitely eat you. You might look like a nice, tasty morsel. It's like that old joke. What's one polar bear say to another about an igloo? These are wonderful. They're crunchy on the outside and chewy on the inside. Yeah, they do eat people. They definitely can. They're so cute, but boy, howdy, they'll eat you in a New York minute. All right, so all that said, human means, and then there's those two-legged critters that you got to watch about the most. It's the two-legged critters you got to watch the most. But you know what, guys? Don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot. If you think somebody's coming after you, you need to really identify what's happening before you react. So many people don't do that, and they wind up harming people that were really just looking for help. They wind up harming innocent people. So that's family members. I mean, don't just react, bang, bang. No, don't do that. Do not do that. Only in last course when your life is being threatened. And then don't act like, the guy, what's his name on the Rust set, who, guys, if you got a means that can apply deadly force, you don't point it at somebody unless you absolutely have to save your life. You don't do that. That's not what you do. It's not something you play with. If you grew up with these things, which I did, I grew up with nugs, lots of nugs all around me when I was growing up. And, as kids, we were taught to respect them from the get-go. So that kind of stuff didn't happen. We knew that these weren't toys. We knew they were serious items that could do grave harm. So, always consider them loaded and dangerous, no matter what. And always think the safety's off and safety don't work. Better think like that. You're liable to hurt people that are near and dear to you, and you'll never forgive yourself if you do that. So Yeah, don't go there. But you know, it is important to be able to defend yourself. Hey, it may be just your dukes, man. But do you want to take your dukes to a knife fight? But you better be really good with them if you do. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, knives are you. Yeah, close quarters. Yeah, Nugget's gonna have a hard time against a knife. So there you go. Those of you that follow me know what a nug is. So, but you know, also your means of defense may also be means of food procurement. At least one of your means. You need many means of food procurement, but you know, it could be one and one. At least, you know, to cover part of it, especially if you're going out hunting, fishing. There you go. See, so dual use purpose there. So you might play that into the selection of the kind of nug you carry. I should carry nugs. It needs to be something you're comfortable with, and everybody around you needs to understand the safety, the protocol. Take safety classes. If you don't understand that, and apparently some people, some Hollywood types, they're not there. Alec Baldwin, a big anti, 2A individual who winds up being somebody that does somebody in because he was stupid. He ought to known better. If he'd ever taken a single class, he would not have done what he did. You don't do that in play or gist. I don't care what you think. Oh, it's somebody. We don't have that kind of stuff on set. Well, he did. And that was a good case in point. So if you want to know why you got to treat that stuff with great respect, bingo. Just look at Alec Baldwin. All right. Enough said for that. Food. Now, there's a lot of answers to food. I do lots of videos on here about wild edibles, wild medicinals. Those are very important. They will help you stretch your regular food supplies out. You might even have to subsist on it if you're out on maneuvers, but you're going to be hard put on wild edibles alone. With wild edibles, you're going to be short of two things: proteins and starches. Now, there are some wild starches, like if you can find cattail roots. Sometimes acorns will give you a little starch. So you can find some wild starches, but they're not that plentiful. Wild proteins is only when this usually stuff is walking around. So you got to procure, walking furry things or creepy crawly things for your protein sources. If you can go down that far. Oh yeah, by the way, special forces people, trained to eat live moths, worms. I have ate a live moth, but not a worm. So, and I raise them, lots of them. I handle them, but I've just not taken to point of sin. I had a particular need to eat one. Now, if I starve to death, yeah, I might think twice about that, but that would be mighty hungry. Do not eat a snail, a live snail. No, they are so loaded with bacteria. And also, turtles are loaded with bacteria. Turtles, you got to really cook really well. A lot of people don't know that. You got to be very careful how you handle meats protocols, or you'll spread bacteria around. So, and think how you do that in the camping environment. You got to be even more careful. Now, the kitchen protocols are very strict for handling meat. So you need to really think about that if you're in a wild environment, how you handle and process meats. Another thing, meats for eats is going to be short and small little critters with small feet. It's not going to be long. All the big stuff is going to be bye-bye. It ain't going to take but a matter of a few weeks, because there's so many people out there looking for those, and they got so many weapons and things that they didn't have in the days of old when they wiped them out. We got way more stuff to wipe them out a lot faster now. And you go back to the Depression era. My dad, they used to joke about getting on the running board of a truck and driving up next to a rabbit, filling its ribs before they decide to grab it. Make sure there's some meat on it. That was a joke. But oh yeah, I've seen my dad, and I've actually myself run rabbits down and catch them in my younger day, and that's quite a feat. Jump off a hay baler and run, chase a rabbit down the field and catch it. I've done it. But you got to learn this zigging and zagging, and because that rabbit can outrun you. So but you got to be able to run fast, and you got to think. But I've seen my dad do several. I've done one. And my dad was a good runner. But it's more about strategy and thinking what you expect that rabbit to do. So you catch it on that, you watch it zig, and then you expect that zag, and then you grab it. So a lot to think about there. But traps are important for wild game. and you're going to be looking at small game in the end. So, traps to get possums and squirrels and rats, basically. If you ever watch all the survivor shows, they're always trying to trap a rat. That's one thing. That's the most plentiful thing out there. And two, rats or squirrels, they get skunked sometimes. And Bear Grylls, and he cooked and ate a skunk. Bear, his whole point of his show is to eat something gross. You watch Survivor, man, there was a certain worm that he ate, and the Survivor, Bear Grylls ate the same worm. I watched this. And Survivor, man, oh, this tastes like peanut butter. This is good, yummy. And of course, everything Bear Grylls, oh, this, yeah. It's just part of his show. This is the MO. Okay, guys? Bear Grylls had a formula in this show, if you hadn't noticed it. It was entertainment more than anything. I like, for survival skills, you'll learn a lot more from Survival Man. You go from Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls, if you follow him, you'll get killed climbing stuff. Don't be climbing things and acting a fool. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. We're back on food. So, yeah, proteins are going to be a critical thing, and so are starches. But you can get a lot of the greens, the minerals, the vitamins, a lot of the nourishment you made from wild edibles, but not enough. You better be growing your own garden. Now, I've done videos on plenty of videos on how to garden, and I did a video recently about what you grow with Jason Avers. Jason Avers and I did a video about how you can grow in less than a tenth of an acre all your proteins and everything you need within a tenth of an acre for a family of four. They don't give you a lot of margin though, and you need more growing area just so you can put food up for the bad years. You're not going to have every year being a good year, and you need to save seeds. Gardening is a key essential for your food. Look, guys, in the old days, it wasn't called prepping. It wasn't called survival. It was day-to-day living. When my dad was a kid, it was a young adult, it was day-to-day living. My dad, as a young adult, was still plowing a mule. And I got pictures of him and my mom and my oldest brother sitting in a mule-drawn wagon. Everybody talks about horse and buggy days. Guys, it was in the farm, it was a mule and wagon days, not horse and buggies. Horse and buggies were for the doctors and lawyers. The farmer had a mule and a wagon. And that was it. And the people scratched for a living. And let me tell you something, when you're scratching for a living and you're working hard out there, you're actually going to need the starches. You're going to need those calories because you're going to be burning them up like crazy. So in our sedentary, sitting behind a computer lifestyle, you don't need that at all. That's just poisoning your system. If you're out there constantly going, you got to have it. Just like an athlete, 4,000 calories a day. Well, that's what the farmers and the pioneers, our ancestors, they ate Olympic athlete food volumes, caloric volumes, in order to survive and do the work they did. So they were actually producing a lot of food to do that. So you got to keep that in mind. Hey, so what else do you think about for food? Of course, I'll tell you about I've done videos about going to big box stores. Dude, stack up on dry beans and rice. I'll give you some. That'll give you some protein and some starches. Stack up on them, buy them in bags. It lasts for a pretty good while. Put it in buckets though, so the rats won't find it and get in your house and tear everything up. If they find it, you're in trouble. So you need to put everything in buckets. And if you can, put the, seal it in bags and put the oxygen absorbers in there and all that good happy stuff. You can find time to do that. All that does take time though. Canned goods. I've talked about canned goods. I've talked about survival of canned goods, and they are long term. The problem with those big bags of rices and beans, canned goods, if you're bugging out, that's real rough in your backpack. It's hard, it's big, it's heavy, and that's only 2 servings. So one of the things that you need to consider is long-term food storage. You need to think about things that's going to last you for a long term, and it's easy to carry and easy to store. And for that, my friends, that's where I come up with the special. You go to prepwithgregs.com and you can get a 4-week supply. Well, you can get a 3-month supply of food for $100 off. And typically 2 buckets is 1 month. So with that deal, you get 6. But this is not one of those. This is actually a mega protein pack here. This is meats and beans. This is a mega protein pack right here. Now, and why am I showing this one? Because it's lightweight. I don't know. I think this can weighs almost as much. It's lightweight, but it has 88 servings in it. You can find this if you go to prepwithgreg.com. and then click the My Patriot logo, you can go in and find a wide selection of vegan, gluten-free, fruits, vegetables, all kinds of prepping supplies that are freeze-dried, and you can find them in containers like this, which are great and easy to carry, easy to store. This one's still sealed. I could bury this for a cachet. Kids can carry it. It's lightweight. 80 servings of food, it's lightweight. But oh yeah, Greg, we got to add water. Well, look what I told you. You can't carry your water anyway. You got to have that water filtration down pat. That's why I got that video on that. You got to go back to that. So this is good stuff. And somebody was complaining, oh, Greg, that stuff you're showing is all starches. Well, no, you can get stuff that's not starches. I just showed you right there. But the specials are, a little bit on the starcher side. However, you're going to need that when you're in survival mode. You actually will need that. So just all things to consider. Food, is going to be paramount. That's what most people think about as number one. They think food, but you're going to die with water problems, drinking dirty water, diseases before the food gets you. But we feel hungry. That's what motivates people, that feeling of hunger. So on most people's list, food's number one. It's number 4 on my list. What? Shelter, water, defense, and then food. What's defense before food? Well, you can survive for 28 days or 30 days, without food. All right, finally, medical. You better have first aid kits and some understanding of what to do with medical, or even how to make, bandages out of leaves if you had to. You need to understand those kind of things, because people are going to get injured and you got to care for them or yourself. What do you do? If you ever seen the movie The Revenant, I believe, the main character in there is tore up by a bear. And this is based on a true story. And this has happened to a couple of the old mountain men. They got attacked by bears and just shredded. I mean, they had their body just tore up. And, most people would just die from not only the wounds, but if they didn't die of the wounds, they'd die of the infection after. But these guys, they sewed themselves up. They sewed that. They found some way to sew it up, and they nursed themselves back, and they somehow survived. And, they were real fortunate they didn't die of massive infections. And I'm sure a lot of them did. But these were guys out in the wilderness who managed to pull themselves through. So medical is important. If you break a leg, you're not going to be out running a trot line, a trap line. You're not going to be out digging for roots and berries and all that kind of stuff if you have to. You're not even going to be able, if somebody comes after you, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. So you better find ways to take care of yourself. And this is also when you need groups of people. We'll talk about that a little bit further down here. But medical, I consider medical as number 5. So one of the, you're out, especially if you're out and about in the woods, there's no pharmacy. There may not going to be no pharmacies anyway. So that's where you need to know about wild medicinals. Right now, I always give the disclaimer. You got a problem, go see a doctor. I'm not a doctor, not a medical doctor. I don't give medical advice or medicinal advice. But when you can't go to a doctor, there are no doctors, there are no pharmacies. You need to have some knowledge in your hip pocket. So study that stuff. I got tons of videos on that, more to come. Now here's what a lot of people don't think about: the day-to-day items. Here's what I tell you: if you're going to prep, think about what you use every week. Think about what you use every month, and go buy lots of it. Everything. So don't just focus on food and water, or toilet paper. Don't be the great Cornholio. You better be focusing on what you use. Toothpaste, I don't use toothpaste. I use baking soda and hydrogen peroxide. But toothpaste, toothbrushes, combs. Here's the two big ones: dish detergent, clothes detergent. Oh, great! Well, I can make that stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there telling me how to make all that stuff for myself. Well, do you make it? Have you made it? And if you have, do you have time to make it? And when it hits the fan, you may find yourself preoccupied with reshaping your structure, fortifying your defenses, making your home more defendable, prepping gardens and fixing it for yourself where you can grow more food, of establishing that trot line, that trap line, or whatever else you're doing to help you procure food, forging relations with others, developing skills that have atrophied or you never had in the first place, that you never developed that well, or just exercising, getting your strength up. You may find there's so many things to do. That's just one more thing to do, and you just can't get to it. It's easy to have too many things to do. that you can't get to everything. This is why communities and tribes also matter, because different people will be able to specialize in blacksmithing and soap making and vinegar making and trade amongst each other and develop an economy to themselves. Somebody else will be the trapper. You'll have the trapper, the soap maker, the cobbler, the a village basically, the blacksmith, I always say that, the one who's best at making, just vinegar. Vinegar is very important. It's a natural sanitizer. Doesn't work as fast as alcohol, but it's very effective, and it also preserves food. Vinegar is very important for cleaning and several other things. Vinegar is vital. And do you know how to make vinegar? Do you have friends that know how to make vinegar? You should. So vinegar, but you need to buy those things yourselves. And then there's these other things that you buy just because they may be force multipliers and saving your time or your water. Much as I hate plastic, you've been railed against it. You may just want to buy a bunch of plastic forks, plastic spoons, paper plates, and paper bowls, and plastic cups, paper cups, whatever you feel comfortable with. You may just want a whole bunch of these things, because that's just less demand on the water you've got to purify. Save your water purifiers until as much as you can, to such point you may be forced to live out in the wilderness. I think these things may have to last you for decades. So that's something to stock up on. And you better, go back to that water purification thing. That may be the best investment for money. One of the best monies you could have is a whole bunch of water filters. It'll help you survive, but also you can trade them with people. So water filters. But think about just day to day. What do you use? Use a lot of paper towels to clean and stuff with. Well, you better figure out, get you some regular cloth towels, handkerchiefs, dish rags, paper napkins, not paper napkins, cloth napkins. That's all anybody ever used to use. Cloth diapers. People didn't use paper like they do today. We didn't have such a disposable culture, and you're not going to be able to go buy all this stuff, but you will be able to wash and reuse stuff, provided you have that little thing I said called what? Soap. You may want to stock up on soap really well, but also learn how to make soap. That would be a good thing. Learn how to make soap, or know somebody that knows how to make soap. See? All right, so the day-to-day things are very important. So now I come to the last item, number 7, and that is to be centered. Now, there's several aspects of being centered, and you. No, there are many aspects. One is just physical. Be fit, as fit as you can be. Now, if you're like me and you're sitting behind a desk, 10 hours a day, that's kind of hard to do, especially if you got YouTube videos and a farm to run. I used to run 12 miles every other day, and I hurt my foot. I plantar fasciitis, and I started riding a bicycle, and I kind of messed the knee up. And I started farming, and I started gaining weight. But that's what I do. If I was out working more, I would be in better shape if I was outdoors more and not on this thing, on my day job. And that day may come, but you need to be physically as fit as you can be. That's easier to say for the young bucks out there, like Canadian Prepper, who's still a young buck. Bless his heart, he does good. And several of the young buck preppers out there. The other is mentally. Try not to lose your wits. I tell people, keep their head on your shoulder, just so you keep your head on your shoulder. If you freak out, if you go into shock, you're just a sitting duck. You're a deer in the headlights. Don't be the deer in the headlights. Don't be the great Cornholio either. Or keep, no prepper, no, any decent preppers got that toilet paper stuff covered from way back. I was laughing when I went to, I did a video. I thought it was so funny when that TP prepper hit, the toilet paper preppers, when that thing hit, I had no idea. I went to Sam's Club. I did a live video because I thought it was funny as all get out. I went to Sam's Club just right before closing time, expecting nobody to be there. I was going to run and get some coffee supplies for work. And I looked, the whole parking lot was full. I thought, what? And I went inside, and when it was like nobody usually there were lines all the way to the back wall from the cash register, and all these carts, and they are all full of toilet paper and paper towels. And that was it. Oh my God, I thought I was gonna die laughing. And some people, I mean, I don't laugh at other people's misfortunes. If they had thought ahead, they wouldn't have been there. You know, I had already had tons of toilet. I had boxes of toilet paper way back. And no, it's not hoarding. If everybody did that, then all you're doing is you're keeping the industrial production level higher. And if things hit bad and the industrial production level drops, it drops to a sustainment level instead of the prepping level. So you see what I'm saying? And then everybody would have stuff and nobody would be in a great fight. No, you know, who causes the problem? It's the toilet paper preppers, the great cornholios who wait the last moment and run out and make everybody a mess. And if you ever watch Beavis and Butthead, they're good at making messes. And so are the toilet paper preppers, the great cornholios of prepping. All right, so centered physically, mentally. But mentally, to be centered mentally, you really got to also do thought experiments and think about things you wouldn't want to think about. How do you handle certain scenarios if they happen? Think about what could happen, bad things. Don't dwell on them. We surely don't want it to come to pass just because you spent your mental energy on it, you know, the power of intention. But do, in your mind, be able to understand the ugliness that can happen. Understand that so that if it happens, you're not going to be in shock, that you will be able to still think and deal with it. That you can wrap your mind around it and react and do what's appropriate rather than go spaz out and get yourself or other people hurt. That's what happens when people spaz out. They hurt themselves, hurt people around them. Yeah, one time I was going down the road and two cars were like playing with each other, blocking each other, but they're just doing crazy stuff. And I didn't know what was going on, but one car finally stops in front of the other car, right? And he blocks the road where the guy can't get around him. And this big guy jumps out of that car and starts back toward the other car. He had road rage. This kid was messing with him and he was mad. That kid turned around. It's right before Christmas. I got my two little kids in my car, hands full of pecan pies I'd bake, going to a Christmas, family Christmas thing. And guess what? This kid, he turns around, looks over his shoulder, looks right at me and floors it, puts his car in reverse and floors it and runs right into me. The guy in the front saw that. He got his car in. He left. He ran. His big guy. He ran that car and got out like a scalded dog. And it's probably a good thing for him he did. I'd have been all over him and this kid. But the kid told me he did not see me. Even though he turned around and looked right in my direction before he gunned it, he really didn't see me. Why? He was reacting in panic, in fear. His brain and his eyeballs and his body was not connected. That's what happens when you panic. You do stupid things. What he did, he tore up my car, tore up his car, and my pecan pie. My kids were in there. Luckily, they didn't get hurt. But the pecan pies hit the floor. I made some of the best pecan pies you ever saw in your life. They hit the floor, messed them up. So it made, you know, it was a wreck in many ways. It messed up a Christmas. You know, I was on my way to a family Christmas event with my two oldest kids. Panicking just causes problems. So don't panic. The other area to be centered in, well, also, you need to think about social skills. And this is a little bit beyond centering, but you need to have friends, family, tribe, social units to be in, a mag group. Or maybe this is a whole nother category. I probably should have looked at this as a different category discuss. And I'll discuss, and I've done whole videos on this, and I'll do some more. You need people you can count on, people you can work with, people you can trust. We need communities. We need these tribes. Why? Because everybody can't be the trot line trapper, blacksmith, medicine man, herbalist, doctor, soap maker, cobbler. You know, it's just too much if you're trying to do everything. Vinegar maker, kombucha maker, the farmer. You know, it's just hard to do all of these things yourself. It's better if you can have a community where different people specialize a little bit in some things and you can trade amongst yourselves, set up your own economy and take care of each other in that manner. Not to mention looking after each other, having each other's back. And if you should find yourself under an attack, that's very important, especially if you're the guy with that broken leg I talked about earlier, and you need other people to help you out because, you know, tomorrow his leg might be broken. You may be helping him out. That's why there's a lot of advantage in having communities and tribes. Oh yeah, by the way, I do have a tribe group we're forming. We're working on. It's coming slow, but we are working. I got some volunteers that's been working with me. I got like 0 time. And my volunteers are pretty busy too. So we're also looking for volunteers, but email me at info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org and put tribe in the subject line. And I haven't got a spreadsheet started up, got tribe leads picked. I could use a few more like in the West Coast and some other areas. And we'll start signing people to these different groups. Yeah, it's running a little late. Sorry about that. But, you know, just my days are I get 4 hours of sleep on a good night, which last night was not one of them, but I didn't get 4. Okay. But that's nothing. You probably need rest to stay mentally and physically centered, right? Finally, spiritual. Be right with your maker. Be right with your maker. You know, that gives you fortitude and peace and solace in the worst of situations. It's just knowing that you're right with your maker. Get right with your maker. This is not a religious channel. I'm not going to tell you who it is and how to do it. That's for others to cover. So I know I got to fall on many faiths and some with no faith. And so that's not what we're about here. We're about prepping in this channel and our urban homestead. And it started out being an urban homesteading channel, just somehow involved in the prepping channel. But that's what you need to do. So it's this last category, the staying centered, which is the most important one. Physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. Be centered. And part of being centered is just, especially the spiritual side, it's just having a good sense of humor. Don't let it get totally squeezed out of you, because that's when you lose hope. That's when hope is gone. That's when you turn sour on life. And it's hard to survive when you're sour on life. It's hard to survive. You got to have some motivation. And so you always need to, even the worst of times, look for the humor in things. Be able to laugh. It will help other people around you when they are just, and they see you and you're calm, cool, collected, centered, and laughing. Gravitate to you because they need that. Because that's what's needed to pull the community together, the group together, the family, the tribe. Be that. Be calm, cool, collected. Don't lose your wits. That's very important and often underlooked. Okay, I've gone on. I've beat on this enough. We've done about an hour here. But these are important things. So again, just to recapitulate, shelter, water, defense, food, number 4. Most people think it's number 1, but it's really number 4. Medical, day-to-day items, and being centered. There's your 7. There's your 7 key essentials to prepping to keep you ahead of the great Cornholio. Oh yeah, and what's a bunghole? That was my quiz, right? So I expect y'all to answer that in the next live session you see, which hopefully, if I get this posted today, will be tonight. This is Wednesday, the 3rd. Yeah, there's the 3rd of November. So 21, 3 November 21. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned for my next live session and my future uploads. I got a lot of stuff to talk about with China. China and us, China and India, and United States and Iran. There's a whole lot of stress out there in the world, guys. Food supplies, shortages, guys. Just oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. What's going on at the border? So much to talk about. Just stay centered. Keep your head on your shoulders. So you can keep your head on your shoulders. All right, with that. Thank you, Soilheads. Goodbye.